Huge fear of ours that he will be released. He's the last person that I would ever want to run into on the streets.
Tonight, the family of a woman who was brutally raped and murdered 24 years ago is fighting to keep her killer behind bars. The convicted killer falls, though, into a category of offenders whose sentences have been changed because of lapses in Oregon law.
Jessica Morkert looking into that case tonight ahead of tomorrow morning's parole hearing. Jessica?
And Jeff and Kelly, Conrad Ingweiler is part of the Oregon Five juveniles who committed aggravated murder before mandatory minimum sentencing guidelines were around. So now, after years of legal battle, he is up for parole, and the victim's family says he shouldn't be.
Always happy, very positive. Always somebody who is extremely uplifting.
For Beth Greer, words cannot begin to describe the loss of her 16-year-old sister. By now, Erin Reynolds would be 41, with unlimited possibilities for her future. But on February 21st, 1990, one of her own classmates at Sunset High School brutally cut her life short.
We relive her murder over and over every single time. And every single time this happens, it gets worse.
Conrad Ingweiler raped and strangled Erin Reynolds to death, then tossed her body down a ravine near his father's home off Skyline Boulevard. The 15-year-old blamed drugs at the time, but years later said he lied and admitted to the murder.
I raped, I murdered, I sodomized Erin Reynolds.
He was convicted of aggravated murder in 1991 and given a life term with a minimum of 30 years, a sentence the law didn't allow at the time. So years later, the parole board lifted that minimum and imposed a sentence of 40 years before consideration of parole.
If he was remorseful, then he would just sit his butt in prison and do his time until 2030. But I will never believe that he's remorseful.
But in 2011, we learned the Supreme Court ruled that the board overstepped its authority with a 40-year sentence. It ordered a release date set for 2018. Now, after appeals and legal moves by Ingweiler and his attorneys, his hearing for release is set for tomorrow.
He's got everyone believing that he's been reformed, and I don't believe him. And I don't think anybody else should either. What he did was horrible.
And we will be at Ingweiler's hearing tomorrow, but we've learned that a decision isn't expected right away, but we'll be sure to keep following this for you and bring you any updates both on air and online. Back to you.